Hello everyone, this is Geoguessr Explained. Welcome back to the channel. Continuing on our series of mastering Geoguessr. We've been through a whole bunch of the biggest countries in the world. Now we're up to Mexico. There's a whole playlist. You can go back and check out those on, if you just go to Geoguessr Explained on the bottom on there. You can find all the ones I've done already. But today we are looking at Mexico, which is one of the more difficult big countries in the game. And yeah, we're going to be firstly going through the Plonk-it guide here. Secondly, looking at the topography and stuff like that. And thirdly, we're going to be playing some Mexico. So go ahead and skip to whatever part you're interested in. Also, suggest which country you'd like to see next. And let's go through talking about the Plonk-it guide here. So, Mexico is fairly populated with all camera generations, firstly. Namely 3 and 4, and 4 is definitely more common. Probably this hasn't been updated in a while. Generation 4 should be what you see most times, but then again, you can definitely see Gen 2 occasionally, and Gen 3 pretty commonly as well. They have the octagonal pole, they have short license plates, they tend to do a single yellow line, sometimes a double yellow line. This is the bollard, that has the black base, painted white, pretty common, not super common, but pretty common around the country. That's the signage, blah, blah, blah. A bunch of cacti. Mexico probably has more cacti than any other country in the world, and there's many varieties, so it's obviously good to know. Alto on the stop sign as opposed to pare, which would be in South America. Very thick arrows. This is actually quite useful. If you're on a rural road, there's a pretty decent chance you might be able to see a yellow diamond, and yeah, their arrows are probably thicker than anywhere else on the yellow diamond. Yellow accents on curbs, yep, they do like to do that. Paint the curb yellow or paint the bridge yellow. You will see a lot of water tanks. You won't see blue ones, but instead you'll see black and sometimes white. Oxo, Pemex are very common companies. And then you get a lot of like place names that are influenced by Aztec and Mayan languages, so they look pretty unique. Round electricity counters, that's pretty useful. They're common in North America, namely the Caribbean, Mexico, Guatemala, US. But Mexico has the most of them, and they're very common to see on buildings. And if you see one that's not round, then you should definitely be considering it. Maybe it's not Mexico. American pickup trucks are very common in Mexico as well. It's a big difference compared to South America, where they're less common. Generation 3 car will normally either be this one or this one. The white car with the stubby antenna, or the white car where you can see a bit of the brake light. Maybe this is kind of a rare example, but you're going to be able to see a bit of the brake light with no antenna. And then in Generation 4, the most common car types are just blue, striped blue, or black. But there are some other ones too. Phone codes are pretty useful. Most phone numbers will just start with, like, most phone numbers you see will be proper phone numbers, and will start with the relevant number here. 6 and 8, 4, 3, 5. They're worth knowing. 5 is Mexico City. If you can remember anything, 5's the middle. Mexico City is the middle, so 5, Mexico City. But yeah, 9 is particularly worth knowing. 9, 6, and 8 are particularly worth knowing, because that's obviously like the extremities of the country. But they're big phone codes. Postcodes, don't know. Number plates are pretty verging on useless in Mexico. If I was to recommend learning any, it would be this Jalisco plate that looks like a Pennsylvania plate, this Oaxaca plate, this looks like the Italian flag, and this Sinaloa plate that looks like the Japanese flag. That's the only 3 I would actually wholesale recommend. Or Nayarit, this Nayarit one as well. All the rest, I would just leave alone, because they're probably too complicated, and you're probably just going to confuse yourself if you try and use them, because there are just so many. So yeah, but you can try. Those 3 I would recommend learning. Okay. Now we're moving on to regional specific stuff, so let's get into it. Prickly pear. This is like identified by it's low to the ground, it's very round. You've probably seen this cactus, as it's probably the most common around the world. And that's definitely more common in the middle of the country as opposed to the max north. And it doesn't really exist on the Yucatan Peninsula, so it's actually pretty useful. You should definitely look out for it every round if you are in a rural area. This one is the Agave salmiana, and it is this kind of light green color, and you can see it around Mexico City for the most part, and around San Luis Potosi, which is another city in the middle of the country. This is blue agave, aka what they make tequila out of. And you can most commonly see that in Nayarit and Jalisco. It's very useful. So around the city of Guadalajara, which is the second biggest or third biggest city in Mexico. And specifically about this one, there is another variant in Oaxaca that looks similar, but that one will be bigger. But yeah, this one is very reliable. If you see a huge field of it, you could definitely just click here. This is the tree yucca, which is mostly commonly found in the East Mountain Range, particularly in the states of San Luis Potosi. I guess that's Zacatecas as well. So yeah, just consider clicking there. San Luis Potosi tree. This is the giant cordon. It is identified from the large, sprawling arms stemming from a singular trunk. So you're going to see, like, it's going to be similar to the saguaro, but with longer arms separating further down, I think. I'm quite bad at distinguishing these two. But, yeah, if you see a lot of them, you're just going to be on the Baja California Peninsula, which is very useful indeed. Saguaro cactus is, of course, famous for being in Arizona. So you're going to see that on the Arizona border here in Sonora. And they have short curving arms from the main trunk. So I feel like in my head, always think these are saguaros just because they look very stereotypically cactus-like. You just got to remember that saguaro, it's got the smaller range and the shorter arms. Okay. Organ pipe cactus. There are many that look like the organ pipe cactus. These ones specifically like come out of the ground like fingers, and they're very common in Sonora. Very useful. Can be found elsewhere. Blue myrtle cactus, another one that has like similar variants around the place in Mexico, but this one, yeah, it looks like this, and it's found around Mexico City, particularly SLP. Okay, sugarcane is found in many areas, but it's worth considering that it's mostly found in the south, and there are definitely, you can pick up great points just by knowing these particular areas where they're most commonly grown. Coconut palms lean you south, particularly south coast, but can be found in a number of states. These sabal palms, which are fan palms, similar to what you'd see in other countries. Very common Nayarit, and then you get a different version, which is a bit shorter on the southeast coast. The atalayas, okay, they're most common in Veracruz state, which is this huge long state here, and then also in Tabasco. Oil palm plantations, pretty much only Chiapas, which is very useful. If you can identify these, it looks like Malaysia, Indonesia, then yeah, just going to be Chiapas. Bojum trees, this is like these sticking out, weird looking things that are only found in the north half of Baja California. Brittle brush, this one's actually, it's easy to look over some of these species, but they really are useful. This one's very useful. Very kind of almost like sage, silver gray leaves, you know, on, like normally you can see quite a bit of it in Sonora. It's very useful. But you can actually see it on Baja California. Okay, these trees, I'm not sure what they're called. They're not listed here, but they have white, thin trunks. They look very hardy. They almost look like a birch tree, like, in a way, just with the white trunk, and I don't know, if they're very distinctive. Once you make them out, you won't forget, and they're on the Yucatan Peninsula. Golden grass is common in Coahuila, and it's going to be combined a lot with like very white sand. So if you see that combination, I believe that's good for Coahuila. Tufts of grass, commonly found in the state of Tlaxcala. Actually, seems like a ridiculous meta, but it does work. Okay, landscapes. Extremely red soil in Zacatecas. Actually, good to know. You can see it elsewhere, but it is actually like a legit meta that if you just see it, this is the state of Zacatecas is probably the best option. Extremely cool mountains around the city of Monterrey, just here. Yeah, if you see mountains that look like they'd take your breath away, then only really going to be there. Can be elsewhere, I guess, but like this, they're pretty dry, so it's hard to miss. Western part, you get these pine forests. You do get pine forests south, but these ones, what's it called? Shorter and more stunted than what you get in the center and the south, which I think is true. You get a vibe for these roads. They're more advanced for sure, but you can definitely get them. Black fields, as opposed to Zacatecas, which is here. Guanajuato, one state down, has these kind of darker fields. It's very distinctive, actually. Guanajuato is one of the easier states. It's also quite flat. But yeah, it's also one of the easiest states, I would say. Okay, this kind of landscape, almost Mediterranean-looking landscape up near Tijuana on the US border. Blindingly white soil, common in the state of Quintana Roo on the Yucatan Peninsula. And finally, the red agricultural fields in the north of Campeche. This is actually a very easy region once you recognize it, and you'll see those white trees again. Page 2, we have some architecture stuff. Okay, architecture you really can't go past. I know I'm spending a long time on this Plonk-it guide, but like, this is useful. Red brick architecture, common everywhere, but particularly common. And if you see it on every building, then you're probably going to be around the states of Michoacan, Guadalajara in Jalisco, or Guanajuato. These are the 3 states that you should consider most. And yes, you'll see it in other states a lot, Aguascalientes, and a lot of surrounding states as well. Not on the Yucatan Peninsula, basically, though. White brick is everywhere, but you will see it very much spammed around Mexico City. Mud brick leans you north, particularly the state of Durango, apparently. I think Zacatecas also has quite a lot, but yeah, those 2 states, plus a few others, you'll see mud brick. It's clearly made of mud, just trust your intuition, it looks quite a bit different to the red brick. Okay, this architecture, what would you just have? Like, it's like bungalows that are like light or pastel colored, with gates and stuff. This is like US border architecture, basically. Pretty useful, but it's obviously a wide area. Thatched roofs, generally going to be leaning towards the Yucatan Peninsula, also Chiapas and some other southern states. And apparently it gets common in eastern SLP again, which is something I've never actually used, but hopefully I'll try and remember that. Rock walls on the Yucatan Peninsula, extremely useful. Definitely pay attention to this. Rock walls that are very pale. Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Rock walls that are pale specifically. Rock walls can be found like near Mexico City, but they'll be dark. Okay, infrastructure. The cross on the back of the sign for Chihuahua shows up maybe once a week when I'm playing. Very useful. It's a free send. A red stripe on the bollard is in, what is it, Nayarit. Yeah. Rare elsewhere. This thin bollard with the crown is Jalisco. Quite nice too. White insulators. Okay, so these ones, they're shaped like this specifically. You will see these in other countries, but definitely most common in Mexico. And, I mean, they kind of look similar to like the standard Indonesian insulator, but they're white. And yeah, you really want to consider Colima, Michoacan, and Veracruz with these first. And they're called the coastal insulators because they kind of hug the coast. Every state that doesn't have a coastline doesn't have them. I'm pretty sure. Is that true? Yeah. So it's pretty useful. And then every state that does have a coastline, apart from Baja Sur, does have them. So very useful, honestly. Very useful meta. Quite an impressive meta. This one with the 2 ridged kind of UFO-shaped insulators, they happen around, especially on the asymmetrical bar, with an asymmetrical bar like this, they will happen around Mexico City. This pole, super useful, pay attention to it. Wooden pole with a low crossbar is just these 2 states here. Hanging, I don't know if hanging ones are that useful, but, what specifically? I think it's the fact, I'm just trying to think, these concrete poles with insulators suspended below the crossbars are unique to the Yucatan Peninsula. Okay, so this style, just look for this style specifically. That'll be Yucatan. Hanging on wooden poles will be Baja. And then, oh yeah, this one's a good one. Low crossbar on the concrete pole is more common generally north. It's like the wooden one, but just on a concrete pole. But with a long support, with a single long support, then it will be Durango. Very consistent meta. Mesh body pole, consider the middle. White road lines, all white road lines, consider Tabasco, though it's much less common these days, unfortunately. These red trees grown into the fence are very common in Veracruz. They are also quite uncommon in Colombia, and often rounds that look like this you can confuse with Colombia. So if you see that the trees grown into the fence are red barked, then yeah, probably just going to be Mexico. Black tar. I use this all the time and beat pros with this, so I think a lot of pros have not learnt this, but yeah, black tar around the road lines, like you sometimes see in California, is Sinaloa, Durango, and Guerrero. What's Guerrero? Nice, yeah. It's very useful. Grainy pavement with a bluish tinge is northeast, and I would say grainy pavement in general, kind of this Gulf of Mexico area. Cobblestone pavement, most common around Guadalajara area. Querétaro also has quite a bit. Hexagonal tiles, very common in the state of Puebla. It's called Puebla pavement. This would be called Oaxaca pavement. Don't confuse it with Colombia. Sometimes Colombia will use a similar pavement in the north. But yeah, there's 3 strips of stones. Quite a cool road, all things considered. The Mexico City taxi. You can actually learn all the city's taxis because they normally like only have 1 or 2 styles. But yeah, this one, pretty nice stuff. Okay, spotlights I think we can skip, although I do like this one. The canals with like brown dirt is very common up here. Yeah, pretty happy to just skip forward. Lots of like lamp stuff. And then lots of Google cars. Yeah, so I think it's time to look at the topography quickly. So this is our map of Mexico, and actually just let me just go like that. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so Mexico here. These are the blue lines. Obviously, you can see the coverage is very dense. Mexico is one of the unique countries of the world where most of the population lives inland. So you're going to see very dense coverage here through these states, Aguascalientes down to Puebla. It's even more dense than it used to be right now. I guess if I click a random road, it's probably going to be Gen 4. Nope, Gen 3. Let's see. Yeah, they're Gen 4 second click. Just random roads that they're covering a lot recently. It's also Gen 3. Yeah. Yucatan also pretty densely covered these days. And you can see Baja California pretty sparsely populated, but with quite a bit going on down here. But yeah, that's what the red lines look like. Let's take a look at the terrain map here. So terrain. So Yucatan has slight hills, but it is flat for the most part, especially like Kuru, very flat state. Campeche starts to get a little more hilly, but still you can see it's very flat in comparison to you hit Tabasco, super flat, and then you hit Chiapas though, and it gets very mountainous ridge mountains like this. You do get some flat places in Chiapas, like you can see here, this is going to be quite flat indeed. You will see the mountains north, but if you just pan this direction, it looks pretty flat. Well, yeah, it's a flat kind of, what's it called, plateau here. Veracruz has hilly areas, pretty flat. Oaxaca, mountainous the entire way. And then you can look, the center part here is very mountainous. You do get flat areas, but you're always going to be able to see mountains in these areas. Like, yeah, look, it is flat, but look, we got mountains this way, mountains this way, mountains this way. So you really can't go too wrong there, I would say. Lots of volcanoes in this area as well, particularly Puebla City. You can normally see the volcano from, which is pretty nice. So we would be looking west to see this volcano. And I think that is it, but it is kind of a hazy day. Let's see if we can get a better view on that. I do think so. Yeah, I would say that's clouds around the volcano right there. You can see the tip of the volcano. So yeah, if you think you might be in Puebla, I mean, we don't have the Puebla pavement here, but just moving it a little bit, we can see the Puebla pavement. Then you would check to see if you have the volcano. That's kind of tech you would put together here. Remembering that the red bricks, if you see like this combination of red bricks and white bricks, quite common. Like even this house is actually just a perfect example where they're just using both interchangeably. That's very common in the center of the valley. Yeah. So then moving up, Jalisco, still very mountainous. Look how many volcanoes. Actually crazy. Most of them aren't active, I assume, but I mean, that would be a problem if they were, but I mean, like normally at this part it's very forested though, so you can't really tell as well, whereas this part's quite open. Fruit trees, a lot around Jalapa. You see a lot of fruit trees in the state of Veracruz in general. You can often see oranges planted on trees, but yeah, it gets flat along this plateau. You do see these mountains obviously as well, but yeah, up towards Texas going to be very flat. Central Valley here, you're always going to be able to see hills. You're always going to be able to see hills, but how far are they? Can often vary, and you can use that to kind of line up a good guess. Particularly here near Monclova, you see a lot of like east-west hills, like here, and then I don't know. You can, if you're good with the compass, you can use the angle of these mountains to get quite a nice guess. For example, you could be like, okay, well these mountains, I'm looking direct south of them, so they're kind of going east-west. Over this direction, these are kind of to my northeast, so they're going northwest. That's how it works with the compass. For those who are bad like me, took me ages to learn. We do have, okay, these ones, by the way, don't count as coastal insulators because they're too big. If you have an extra set of ridges, then they don't count. which is good to know. I don't think it was mentioned. Baja California, mountainous, but not as tall mountains. Pretty flat in Sonora, but you can always see mountains. In the north, you can just always see mountains, apart from on the Texas border. And then over here, as I said, that kind of hilly landscape with the Mediterranean landscape, with the Mediterranean climate. Mexicali is quite flat, though. So that's kind of the two northern areas where you can actually get bona fide flatness. Still, up here, you can always see mountains still, I would say. Yeah, there you can see them. So, okay, it's time to play. Let's jump in. Let me know if you have any questions from the gameplay as well. Let's go AI generated Mexico. And yeah, let's just go until we hit roughly 50 minutes, which is what I've traditionally done. Mexico's quite a fun country anyway. I didn't talk about much about Google cars. I'll probably still, roughly speaking, avoid that. But I'll probably check for myself so I can get better guesses. Okay, so these trees don't count as the white trees that you'd get on Yucatan because they're too thick, firstly. This landscape in general, though, kind of darker soil, not very red, very lush. It definitely reminds me of, like, Tabasco, Veracruz, maybe South Coast Chiapas, that kind of thing. So north, I would be checking north for mountains, and it seems like north is completely clear. So the whole idea of like down near Tapachula, like, yeah, we could still be here, but it looks just too open. I would say it's too open. So probably just thinking Tabasco, Veracruz here for that reason. That looks like it might be a coconut palm. Kind of hard to say at this distance. Person here, I mean, people could potentially be helping for region guessing. For example, I would say Chiapas probably has more people who are indigenous. Probably, I would say. Yeah, so I'm probably thinking just Tabasco here. With it's very flat, right? But we don't have the typical Yucatan trees. It could be Campeche. I could see Campeche. I could see Veracruz. Could see potentially Chiapas. Okay. It is actually Tapachula. Okay. That is very open. Normally you'll be able to see the hills. I mean, that was my first thought, to be fair. I'm very surprised. Honestly, maybe just, let's see. I think if we move down the road, we'll be able to see hills. That's my contention. Okay, it's kind of cloudy, but yeah, no, we can already see hills. So, yeah, it's not a very good guess. I think if I knew my cars and copyrights better, I would get it. But yeah. Okay, next one here, immediately just Guanajuato dirt, right? It's like dark. So let's see if we can confirm that. Rock walls, as I said, rock walls are kind of common. Querétaro, Guanajuato, Jalisco, so that would make sense. Bit of red brick architecture, so that's obviously checking out as well. Red brick here as well. Can we make out, this is white brick though. A bit more white brick, okay, so it is kind of a mix. But yeah, I'm just going to trust. I think we have enough red brick to make me pretty confident on Guanajuato here. Yeah, that duck soil really is legit. Okay. Striped car here. 24, okay. Very tall, long needled pines here. Kind of exposed car. Okay. So, what do I make out? Like, it's going to be somewhere inside the mountains, for sure. The pavement's fairly grainy here. I don't really have a great reason, but I'm thinking, like, mountainous Chiapas. I'm thinking mountainous Oaxaca. Maybe in these mountains up here as well, like, inland of Costa Rica, but I thought it was more south. I don't really have a good reason here, though. It's just the way it vibes. It's very wild-looking. Guerrero is pretty sparsely covered. You shouldn't click it too often. It's extremely lush, which this is, so I could see Guerrero, but especially in 2024, copyright's pretty uncommon. So I'm thinking I'm kind of between like Chiapas or like Oaxaca Guerrero, but I would go Chiapas here. And it is, yeah, it looked a lot like Guerrero with how lush it was. Oaxaca makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. Had to do one of those three, but yeah, difficult. Okay, we have the super exposed blue car here. So this one is most commonly found with 2023 copyright in Chiapas and 2024 copyright Campeche, Quintana Roo. And yeah, let's have a look here. We've got 2024 copyright. I'm already thinking it's up here, but copyright can lie. Then we've got the white trees. And I mean, everything checks out. It's super flat. The soil is not particularly red. So yeah, liking it a lot. Okay, next one here. So I mean, so far I always mention the correct place at least. So if you're playing in like a team duel, you could definitely, with a bit of practice, get to that level, but obviously I'm still failing sometimes. It's a fairly difficult country. Okay, so exposed blue car. We've got green mountains here, very green. We have fruit trees, so I guess default guess would be here, sometimes near it as well. The direction of the mountains, more east of us. Actually kind of all sides of us, that is interesting. This is difficult. Fruit trees with mountains all directions. Pavement itself, kind of generic, I would say. Like it's not particularly, what would you say, like grainy or something. Okay, possibilities here, possibilities. I want to say it's not Jalapa, it just doesn't quite vibe right. I could see like an inland Tamaulipas here. I just don't know what the car, I actually don't remember where this car should be. Could see like an inland Jalisco Nayarit. Maybe. It's a fairly major road. Those mountains are pretty big northeast of us as well. Genuinely confused here. Not sure what this crop is either. It's not coffee, but... I mean, bollards? Could bollards help us here? Not really, I think. Okay. Legitimately challenging round here. I almost want to say that we are inside the mountains here, but the pavement's not great. Angle? Not great either, to be fair, I would say. Oh gosh, guys. Okay, well, it's not really much use if I try and explain rounds. I can't get myself anyway, so I'll probably just guess here. I don't know, though. Yeah, I think I'm between here and, like, here, actually. Final word is, I don't know. I'll just guess here. Okay, and it was Michoacan. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, 15k. Next one here. Clearly a different vibe to the rounds we've had so far. This is clearly a northern landscape. It is pretty flat, but we will see mountains. So let's have a look around here. And there they are. Striped car in the... Is this 2022? In 2024. Okay, much less useful. 2022, striped car is very common in these northern states, though. And Mexico is one of these countries where actually, yeah, well, knowing the cars is very useful. Is this mesquite? Maybe not, but it definitely looks like the kind of vegetation you get in New Mexico, Texas. Okay. So, big divided highway, quite a few mountains. We do have like golden grass up to the side of the road here. I'm thinking it's Coahuila or Chihuahua. And it almost looked to me like the 45D. Do we have a railway? We don't. Maybe not. Okay, so that probably discounts that. I think we would be able to see the railway here, in theory at least. Maybe further up. Further up the railway is like out to our west in theory. That could be that. Don't hate that idea. Okay, so then can it angle? Would be the next question. Not too much. Would have to be down here with the railway on the other side. Okay. Super flat. Lost vegetation check. I don't really see anything. So yeah, I'm between these two states. The fact that it's sparse in terms of mountains makes me think it's Chihuahua, so I'll just guess. It is on the border in Durango. Difficult. It looked quite US to me. Quite similar to the US, but yeah, again, definitely had to be north there with the landscape. Next one here, typical pole here. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so we have quite a bit of the green colored succulent, which you see in SLP and around Mexico City. So now we're going to be looking for other plants. For example, prickly pear we have as well, so that's good. It kind of confirms that we should be in that area, more or less. We have a lot of like white architecture here, which is probably consistent for both states, to be fair. We don't really need to read that. Wooden pole in the mix here. Okay, we have like a fan palm as well. Feel like that does... I think all in all the landscape is pretty generic, but it's probably leaning to me towards San Luis Potosi. The trident pole top is also pretty common up there, I think. I don't know, but it could be Mexico City. I think it's a... This view here, with so many of them, with like the white sandiness, does remind me of SLP. So I'll probably just go for that. Now we can use the place name, see if it's actually something I know. Espermaros. Maybe not. But I do like this area in general, I would say. Angled Road. Okay. Go there. But to be fair, it's very flat east, which is kind of confusing me. Maybe more up here. I'll just go. And it was Mexico City. Puebla. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is the two regions that you would consider guessing. We didn't have any yucca. I don't know. I'm kind of sad right now. We didn't have any yucca. That should have been the giveaway for not guessing there. But it was surprisingly flat for Puebla, I would say. We're here, right? Would have thought we could see bigger mountains there. But that's okay. Next one here, white brick mixed with red. More white brick going on here for sure. There's the round electricity counters. This looks probably like a lot of palm trees, kind of, I mean pine trees that, and a palm to be fair. It looks like a colder climate, so probably around Mexico City here, I would say. Oh, and then we have the asymmetrical pole top. State of Mexico, very commonly found there. It's not the proper one, maybe. I think you'd need like the rounder insulators for it to be the proper one, but yeah, feeling pretty decent about that. I'd probably just guess, yeah. Yeah. Finally, really good guess there. Inside the right town. Next one. Okay, we have sabal palms here. These are big fan palms. Maybe a phone number would be gettable here, by the way. Could be helpful. Okay, so these ones, they're kind of like the shorter ones. So that would, I mean, I thought... No, but these are pretty tall, actually. Wait, okay. This is interesting. It could not, maybe it's not a sabal palm, maybe it's the one that, I can't remember what it's called, the one that grows on the Texas border. So, maybe like a California palm or something. So we got to still work it out here. Okay. So, poles-wise, we don't get much here, I would say. Mountains-wise, northeast. There's the Pemex. Phone number would be very helpful here, but I don't think we'll get one. There is one here, but it's just too hard to read. It's annoying. Very dry and quite flat south. Not entirely, though. Oh, this is hard. This is hard. This is hard. I'm not sure where we are. I always forget how to differentiate these palms, but we do have like a date palm here as well. I think they're pretty common around Hermosillo. So I could definitely see Hermosillo working here. So what angle was the mountain again? Because that would probably help. Hermosillo, northeast. I think that feels pretty good, right? Look, we see northeast mountains here with not much else. Did we have a place name on here by chance? San Sebastian. Don't think it's, I think it's just the name of the hotel or whatever. But, yeah, I don't know. I think it makes sense. Could be like a California palm and then... Yeah. The thing is, like, the crossbars are not low, which I would probably expect to see some of here. That's my concern. Okay. Well, it's going to be the right latitude, I expect, but I'm not sure for the right side of the country. Okay, it was Hermosillo. Nice. Yeah, the date palm. I just remember date palms are very common around Hermosillo, so that was good, because otherwise I was pretty clueless there. A lot of bananas here, so I think I'm more south of the country for sure, these banana trees. Striped car 24. And, ooh, insulators would be very useful here, actually. Can we see? They don't look like the coastal insulator to me, but it's hard to say. It is hard to say. Coconut palms here, so yeah, more southern as well. So everything's adding up to more southern. I would probably just go with the flat landscape and the general vibe Tabasco, but again, it could be this southern part, could be Veracruz. Yeah, Tabasco. Didn't seem like it was coastal insulators. We had the bananas, it was very flat. All makes sense. Okay, we did 3 good guesses there at least. So I think I'm happy with this ratio. It's at least okay. Okay, cobblestone pavement. So we said that's more common around here. Red bricks, very common in this area as well. So everything checks out so far. Nothing to be too concerned about. It's very densely red bricked, I would say. And we have rock wall. Everything checks out. It's like this whole area. It's like this is very generic for this area. Norfolk pine. Very interesting. Ooh. I do remember being told that this kind of like dark rock at the bottom is common in Morelos State, but I do kind of feel like we have too much in the way of red brick here for Morelos, maybe. Now I'm searching for white brick. How many white brick houses do we have? So let's do a count. Red, well actually mud, red, red, red. Rendered, so these don't really count. Red, red, red. It's definitely more red than anything. The Southeast Mountains, okay. Yeah, with the cobblestone pavement, I don't think I can justify Morelos here, so I'm probably going to go around here. Zamora could make some sense, maybe. Don't think it's Guadalajara. Just the fact that it's Gen 3 is would be a bit sus for that. Probably too mountainous for Guanajuato, so... But then again, rock walls are less common in Michoacan, so... Not too sure here. I'm just going to go here, Zamora. Okay, it was Michoacan. Yeah, I mean, that's a good guess. That's definitely a good guess. Happy with that. You kind of have to combine the vibe. Okay, again, we have these agave. They might be too big, actually. I don't know. But we have also... Yeah, they might be too big, but we do have prickly pear here. Just before looking around, it almost vibes like we're inside the mountains up here. Just the way things look. Could still be. It's extremely rocky. If I saw this kind of rocky soil, I'd be considering here a lot of the time, but obviously we have mountains, so it can't be. Very big cactus here. Yeah, we do have some kind of... We do have yucca as well. Yeah, so it is this vibe was correct, but maybe a bit further south, because the mountains, they're just not quite tall enough for Monterey, I think. So North Ridge. Yeah, we're probably like inside the mountains, inside here, but we have a North Ridge, and that's kind of confusing to me. Maybe Palomas. What's the angle of the road here? Not really the correct angle. Okay, but still, something like that. Yes, sir. How about that? Could be. The mountain's a bit further away though. I don't know. Yeah. So just to recap here, these ones, yucca, plus white brick architecture makes sense. We don't see any red bricks, plus prickly pear. I think it all adds up. I think we should guess here. I think, but yeah, it could be further north. What's furthest? Wow. Okay, this is like a yeah. So Puebla does have a lot of white brick. Maybe the fact that all of these were white brick should have alerted me to the fact I could be wrong. But man, we got baited by this stuff in Puebla again. This combination. But this time we had a yucca as well. But I think there is a yucca. Whatever this is not the normal one. It looks different. Mexico experts in the comments can tell us. But it's not the traditional yucca, I think. Difficult, man. I think, yeah, the sheer density of white brick here, but that's very difficult. That's very difficult. We can move on. Maybe... No, I would still go there. But again, these low hills in Puebla have been baiting me a bit. Okay, next one here, we got the black car. Black car, most commonly found Oaxaca, Puebla, Guanajuato area, and then between Torreon and Monterrey. We have huge southwest mountains here, so with huge mountains like that, I guess we're probably looking at, you know, the black car stuff up here or near Torreon maybe. Very white soil, a lot of prickly pear, which is interesting. It does lean you south, but not necessarily. But these mountains are just quite simply epic, right? And then to our north, we do have mountains too. We have a wooden pole as well. East is what's pretty flat, so I think that does make sense, right? Something up here can make a bit of sense, but... Okay, what would I search for? I mean, we have like a... What would I search for here to try and confirm? I mean, this soil is very white, which I almost like for the Torreon area. The Torreon mountains are pretty big, so I could still click there. Yeah, it's just this huge southwest ridge. Well, certainly not out of the question. Certainly not out of the question for this. We could be looking at the Coahuila border with Durango. Like this. And then quite flat southeast. Yeah, this actually makes sense. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm between those two places. Black car, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I would actually go here, but Monterey second option. It's just Monterey. Gosh damn it. The places I picked look fairly similar. I think the mountain's maybe a bit too big for Torion. I don't know. What it's not going to tell me. But yeah. Okay, next one here. Oh, okay, so we have a canal. We talked about the canal. Mostly around here. Let's check the angle of the road. It's not Ciudad Obregón because it is not the right angle. So then we look at Los Mochis. Los Mochis got the right angle. Send it. Easy one. We also had a low crossbar if you want to skip back to when I first loaded in. Blue car. Red soil. Hard round. Barely anything going on here. Coconut palm. Okay, that's useful. Leaning us further south. Oh, no, it's not eucalyptus. What is this? You know, is it? No, what is that? I don't know what this tree is. Very interesting. Blue car. Yeah. It vibes quite southern. It vibes southern state, like somewhere between Jalisco and Chiapas. Blue car, though. I don't know about that. Red soil. Okay, red soil is most common. Michoacan, Zacatecas, Oaxaca. Could be Oaxaca. Maybe like a South Michoacan here. I don't know. Could be Chiapas too. Chiapas or Michoacan? That's my question. I think with blue car I would go Michoacan. Okay, it's actually Nayarit. That's very difficult though. Inside the mountains west of Tepic, it's yeah, hard. Okay, 15k. We've kind of been averaging 15k. I'm still fine with that. No huge misses. Okay, next one here. Immediately like smoggy, flat with like pines. I would just click New Mexico City. We also have quite a lot of prickly pear, which makes sense. Like very dense amount. A lot of white brick architecture makes sense as well. It's flat with the mountains. Yeah. We're looking perfect here, honestly. I don't think we need to consider too much else. Like this flat area here, maybe. Yeah, just state of Mexico. I was going to go state of Mexico, but we didn't have any of those pole tops, which I was talking about. Okay, here we have the low crossbar, so generally speaking, more north. We have the, like, gray car here, maybe. Is that gray car or kind of light blue? North Mountains. Bit of prickly pear. Is that a red field? I would say not. I think the soil here is more white. Okay. So I'd probably go Durango here, maybe? Do we have any of that plant that you get in Sonora? I think we don't. That, like, sage-colored low one, which I forget the name of. Pretty flat east. Yeah, I don't know, guys. It's a hard round. I think I would go Durango, though. I think it might be the gray car, which is really common there. Is it, though? Probably not. White, blue. I don't know. Just gonna guess. It is the area. I was right to look for that plant, because we can probably find some if we move a little here. Is that it here? I don't think so. Let's see if we can find a good example in action of that plant that we made. Oh, this was it. This plant with the greenish branches. I think that's quite common here in Sonora. Don't see it though. That one we were talking about. Old dogs, cute. No, I don't see it. Is that olive groves? Some of them are olives here. Oh yeah, white-tipped fences, definitely more common in the US border, I would say. Yeah, I don't think we see it. Is that it? No. Hard then. I don't really see anything specific. Like we we do have cactus, but not the right cactus that would give away the area. And yeah, just in general. Oh, that is it. That's it. Yeah, that's the cactus that we would have needed to see. The one that like grows out from the ground directly. Obviously they all grow from the ground, but you know what I mean. Maybe we can get closer here. It reaches out from the ground like fingers. But yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see the other one. Okay, well, whatever. Too hard. Oh, here we go. Yeah, you can see it reaches out of the ground. That would have given me the state, but Alas, we're like 1,000 Ks away. Okay, next one here, red soil, blue car. Super red soil like this, but fairly dry. Kind of thinking of like around here, maybe Michoacan. Maybe even further north though. Okay. So these cypress trees are not very useful. They kind of appear all around the country. We had a very similar round, did we not, earlier? A very similar round. Where was it? I guessed... Oh, gosh. It was hills like this. I guessed Chapas, and it was like... No. It wasn't that one. We had a very similar round to this. I forget where it was, though. Any plants that can help us here, though. Architecture doesn't help. Road lines don't help. Poles are also too far to be generally helpful at all here, I would say. It's unpleasant. I'm thinking it actually does almost have a bit of a north vibe here. I'm thinking Zacatecas with the red soil maybe could be our go here. Big mountain southeast. I mean, it's fairly mountainous. That definitely fits. But yeah, not too sure. It could be inside the mountains in SLP Tamaulipas, but the road I think would be weird. And then it was like, well, it was blue 22. Interesting. I feel like that's still fine. I'm just gonna guess here. I'm not sure. Oof. What the frick? That's 2022, this road. It did vibe north, but this, like, with the rain on the road was really baity. What the heck? I'm just trying to think how I would have gotten it. I mean, yeah, the vegetation was similar to the last one. But that is, like, very difficult for me. I'm not seeing anything. It just does vibe north in general. But this kind of red soil, without any specific vegetation that I can see at all, with, like, these random wooden poles and everything. Yeah, that's hard. I don't know. Let's do some redemption. Dark fields here almost gives like a Guanajuato vibe. Unfortunately, the architecture is too far away to really say here. Mountains are like surrounding us, particularly southeast and northeast and northwest and west. Okay, pretty much everywhere except for southwest. Bit of white brick here. I don't know, it looks like Guanajuato. Is it new coverage? 2021. Would have preferred if it was new coverage, because I don't recognize this. For Guanajuato specifically. It could be further up. It could be a northern city. This is a weird tree. A bunch of people on the back of that truck. Wowee. Okay. Yeah, so not sure here. I'm pretty worried that this is going to be badly wrong. But I want to go Guanajuato. So Guanajuato, but if not, then some city like from here to here. I don't know. Okay, it is Guadalajara. That's at least something. Bringing it back. Low crossbar. Blue car. Reddish soil. Fairly large mountains here to our north and to our south. Low crossbar. Again, no like vegetation, no. But specifically no architecture here at all. Just the red soil. Okay, this is quite far north. And we were saying 24 blue. I think 24 blue is pretty common in Sonora. Does it look like the Sonoras we've failed so far? A bit. But would it be so agricultural? Probably not. Chihuahua. Maybe. Chihuahua Mountains might be bigger. There's another city, Delicias. What's that angle? Not the best for that. I mean, it could be here for sure. Northwest, the mountains are pretty distant though. I don't know. It's like reddish soil too. Low crossbar. Inside the mountains. Yeah, this is hard. This is hard. This is hard. It could be like inside here. That would be crazy though. I've never like gotten that right, I think. Maybe this valley. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be so annoying if I'm wrong. Also, the mountains are like southeast and northwest, so it's like we would have to be in like a northwest valley therefore, like this valley maybe. It doesn't feel like a main road through a valley, though. I feel like they wouldn't have covered more than that. Maybe this? That actually does fit, to be fair. I'll try. Gosh damn it. Sinaloa, but the mountains southwest was... Normally, like, the coast here is pretty flat, so that's... I mean, I did consider it, but that's pretty hard, I think. Oh, I guess we're in a neighboring state, but so far away. Sinaloa's pretty red. That was a bad seed. 11k. Let's go for one more. ASIM pole top, so immediately considering state of Mexico. East Mountains, East Huge Mountains. I mean, just generally speaking, it feels cold. It feels almost like Europe or something for a new player. These, like, pine trees easily can go Europe here without the poles, so yeah, I think that's pretty safe. Probably, like, tucked in here or something. Okay, just Mexico City itself. Another Google car here. Very cool. Another Google Street View. 2021. Blue. Grainy pavement, so I think this does count for this kind of Gulf of Mexico kind of idea. Trees are they the white ones? Maybe not. Not many of those specific Yucatan trees, I would say. Yeah, don't know what they're growing here either. It could be Yucatan itself, actually. But I think the trees are just not quite right, so I'm more tempted by like a Campeche Tabasco border here, in a way. Because I just feel like it's not quite giving me the full Yucatan vibe. But it is pretty wild looking, which Yucatan is a lot of the time. So, yeah, not too sure here. Exposed? What is this car? Like, is this really 2021 coverage? Did I read that right? I suppose I did. 2021. Weird car here. Yeah, okay. I think I go for it. Border here, border. Yeah, okay. Roughly speaking, that's correct. It is actually in Tabasco, which is a very weirdly shaped state. But that's good. Good guess, good guess. Next one here, white car, like white blue car, not too sure. Oh, look at that. We have the tequila fields here, guys. Look at that. Okay. So are these the real ones then? I would say they are because they're pretty small. They're not like huge, which you would associate more with the Oaxaca. And also the car here. I don't think that's in Oaxaca either, so that makes sense. Jalisco then would be the default guess. Mountains kind of southwest of us. That's pretty good, I would say. Just generally speaking, vibes are good for this kind of Central Valley region. So feeling pretty good, I'm gonna guess here. Yeah, very nice. Right mountains southwest of us. Okay, we're cooking on a seed finally. Big exposed car here, as I said, 23, 24, and it can be found elsewhere as well. And this is 24. We have the white trees, the whole shebang here. This is very Yucatan vibes. Again, the grainy pavement. It looks similar to the Tabasco, but this time the trees changed, you know? And the soil changed as well. It's even more kind of rocky a bit. It's just like, yeah, rocks in the soil poking out here and there. Just, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense to me. Okay, so then... yeah, probably just like in the center here, I would say. Yeah, nice. Okay, we can get a nice score here. We can get a 22k if we're playing nicely from here. And we have this car. It's got a bit of orange on it. So that car appears here and primarily between Torreon and Monterrey. Low crossbar would definitely lead me more towards the northern idea here, and it's extremely flat for that part of the world. So south is very flat with the mountain south, but it's not that flat, I suppose. Yapping. Though, is this a square pole? I don't know where you find square poles, but that is interesting. So that's the angle. Flat. It feels like it could be a decently main road here. Flat. I kind of like this area here, actually. The mountains would be too big around Saltillo. It's probably around the Torreon, therefore, between, but probably around this area. Smallish mountains north. Pretty significant ridge south. I think that looks really good. The way it's just lining up is really nice. It could be like the 86 here, maybe. Ooh. See, that's pretty decent, I would say. And then it like kind of straightens. It straightens kind of westish. Am I tripping, or is it? It doesn't really do that. Still want to guess here. Oh, it does almost after like a side road. It's a very slight bend in the road here. Won't appear too much on the map. Ooh, that road is looking pretty good. We would have to... That's too much of a bend. I do like this, though. The way the mountains line up look really nice. West is flat. That's good. East has some more stuff. Oh, that looks really like that. I think I'm on it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I am. Okay, there we go. That's a nice seed there. 22k. This one... What state was that actually in? So it was actually in... State of Mexico. Oh, so it was State of Mexico after all. I forgot how weirdly shaped State of Mexico is. Wait. It wraps all the way around. Okay, this is my bad then. I probably would have maybe gone here even, to be honest. Dang, I forgot that's the way it's shaped. Because otherwise, the Jalisco, the Torreon, the Tabasco, the Quintana Roo. Pretty easy seed, but a nice one to finish it off. Guys, if you enjoyed this, smash like. And let me know what Geoguessr Explained should explain next. Let's end it on 55555.